Hello, everybody. Can people hear Robin? Hopefully they can.
Hopefully.
I'm not sure if I managed to get your microphone turned on for your Hello AS fans, but I think we're there now.
Hello, AOS fans.
So there we go. And good night. Thank you all. Right, that was about the most easy start we've ever had. There we go. How's everybody out there in the internet lands? How are you, Robin?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm feeling positive. I've been writing a little script from a little head-to-head video. Well, not head-to-head, head video from just me talking head tomorrow to do in the garage. Let's talk head. So yeah, I'm pretty positive. I haven't been bothered to make a video in the garage for weeks and months. But suddenly, May 17th is looming, and I'm feeling like the channel can grow.
It's starting. I mean, we hit 100 patrons. 100 patrons. It's just fantastic. So
yeah, well, that's really great news as well. Everybody. That's really buoyed us up. I think the weather's been nice today. I've been out in the gardening. I just feel like everything's getting good.
Spring's coming. Spring is sprunging. The world is starting to get back to normal.
I'm too cheerful, apparently. Too cheerful.
Right. Tone it down. Tone it down. No, fuck it. We're going to be cheerful today.
Doesn't take much to bring me down, does it? Don't bother.
Don't fucking bother with stupid thing, bloody nonsense. So we are here tonight. We're here tonight. We're going to be talking about Hedkrakka. I keep calling him Hedkrakka, but he's not. He's Hedkrakka.
Hedkrakka. I never know which letters are doubled in it.
I don't know if it matters really with Orcs.
No. That's I have absolutely no idea how to spell it.
Pretty
similarly, I didn't have any idea how to spell any of the names in the Stubborn Stalkers either.
Yeah, I think that one's just due to because they're all. I can't remember what the name of the language is. They're all sort of taken off of the Mayan language.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the language is that they speak. I can't remember what it's called. But one of the guys from I think Path to Glory or something knows. But anyway.
Yes. Yeah. My headphones are decharging, so if I suddenly disappear and start hear you, I'll quit trying to sort something else out, but hopefully we'll be all right.
Yeah. We were almost like 100% there with everything. Everything was like almost absolutely perfect, and then just went a bit tits up right there at the end.
Well, I just turned the speaker headphones on and they went, charge me.
Oh, fuck.
VJ's getting his first jab on Monday.
Nice one.
Assuming you mean COVID jab rather than like a quick punch in the solar plexus.
Just
Yeah, that's great.
I've had my first. You've had your first, haven't you, Robin?
I've had my first, yeah.
My second's due on the 5th. But the 5th is also the day of the Straight Outta Shadespire tournament.
Oh, smooth segue there, boys.
How smooth do you like it? Yeah, I think I've got my second jab about 45 minutes before you're due to turn up, or actually 45 minutes before we're due to go live. So I have to make sure everything's ready, and then leg it out to the GPs and back again.
Yeah, fair enough. I haven't had my notification yet. But it's not going to be too long. My wife, we booked them in different manners, so hers is already booked, so she knows when hers is, but I don't know where mine is. I think different manners. I don't mean like different houses.
different manners. One's very formal. The other one
manner.
David Henderson has had both of his, a perk of his job, he says. Yeah, I guess you've got to have some perks in that situation.
Hospital burglar.
Red Rose Wargaming's on. Hello, Red Rose. Red Rose, we noticed you haven't had much stuff put out recently. Is that because of COVID causing all the lockdown issues and all that kind of stuff? Because it has been a bit crap in the UK, trying to be able to get time for these kind of things.
Good to see you, Red Rose. We haven't seen you for a while, so it's nice to have you with us.
And so we are ready to crash on. Yes, COVID did stop playing. Hopefully, I don't know about you guys over in Red Rose Wargaming Land. Robin and I are meeting up on the 17th. I've booked a day off work, taking a whole day off. Of course, the way it always goes in those situations, we booked a day off, or I've booked a day off, but now Robin's got to go and pick up his kids from school, and I've got to go and take my eldest to go and get his glasses fitted and all this kind of stuff. So it's rapidly dwindling away that chunk of time that we had.
Here as soon as you can, Pete. As soon as you can.
I'll be slinging the kid, the youngest, in through the front door at school, and I'll be like, right, goodbye, see you later. I'll just be legging it back up the road.
Yeah, the speakers have gone. They've gone.
Oh dear, Robin's earphones are gone. So I can talk for a minute while Robin can't hear me. He's crap, isn't he? Isn't he crap? He's so crap. Oh, he's crap. He's he's now just going to sit there and look a bit bewildered whilst he tries to work out how to get my voice out of his headphones. But yeah, okay. So what we're going to do this evening is we're going to try and think of as many ways to say that Robin's crap. Before I keep saying it and wondering if he's hearing me now. Stick stuff in the comments. Aha, Robin in here. He's back. Right, everyone.
We're back. It's one of those things. I was like, I'm going to quickly change it. I thought, oh, where's the setting now? Everything's slightly different each week.
So it was going to be quick, and then, oh shit.
But I'm here. I can hear you.
Ooh, okay. So we are here to talk about Hedkrakka. Straight out of Shadespire. Quickly mention that on the I think it's the 5th of June, the Saturday, the first Saturday in June. If you haven't, do go and sign up to it. Webcam tournament, and we will be. I was going to say televising, but we're not quite televising it. But we will be providing live coverage for that one, which is going to be great fun. I think there's 15 people already signed up to it.
Oh yes, go sign up as quick as you can.
Yeah, I want to get 30 on there. We've got 30, I think, signed up to our Patreon Season 3 TTS tournament.
See? Oh, that took a big jump.
Yeah, it's done well. It's done very well. So I'm looking forward to that too.
Brilliant. That's really good. Yeah, so do sign up straight out of Shadespire. I'm really looking forward to commentating on as many different games as we can. It'd be really great to be doing it at the same place.
Yeah,
and hopefully we can commentate on you.
Ooh, you never know. Yeah,
I don't like to say we were the best commentators in the business, but we're
pretty good.
We are.
Yeah. Don't like to say it, but I will.
Yeah.
I like to think we get the right level of facts and fiction jammed in there, and once we're in the same place, we'll be able to add music to the mix again as well. Who doesn't like a bit of music with their underworlds?
Wolfman Gas needs to work out an updated deck with all these new cards. Yeah, me too. For my Despoilers Vanguard Plus deck, they're not that much that are useful because there's quite a lot of things that stack upgrades. And you don't really stack upgrades on Despoilers unless you're using Reshrak in some way, but because they tend to die
very easily.
So, yeah, there's not. So there are some, but I haven't really recovered from the what's the Portugal call it pack, Essentials pack, and the new Crimson Court card. So I haven't really find the time. But I played the Despoilers this weekend, our last TTS game,
which was a corker
with some of the Essentials cards. So it's a
good
game. It was a really great game to finish.
I think it was about 40 glory in total. We racked up between us 40.
Glory. Sorry, I thought you said we did 40 TTS games, which probably isn't far off actually.
Yeah, actually, it probably isn't actually far off at all. So, Wolfman says he needs to build the vampires, and the orcs do this week. When you build the vampires, do not stick the arms or the cloak on Gareth. Don't do that. And on the woman, and don't stick any of them to the bases. And on the woman, if you can, leave the arm off that is down. Leave the arm off. And if you can, don't stick her face on either. Because her hair is a fucking pig. Absolute pig. I've greatly regret sticking those models together. Massively regret it.
I very rarely stick my Underworld models. For that reason. Particularly the bases. I always, because they have such detailed bases, I always find it's better to pot them in.
Wolfman says that implies that he actually paints them well. I mean, yes, true. But as they're pushed for anyway, just don't glue them. So you can push them together, and then if you have the urge to paint them later on, then you're not going to be in the position I'm in, which is having to repaint half of it a second time round when you end up getting paint on it, trying to get the frigging paintbrush in the cracks and crevices to fill it in.
Remember, I was asked if we're going to the UK Games Expo. I don't think we are. I don't know if there's still tickets available. Sure. Just before I may be going on holiday. I'm not sure I'm going to go.
Yeah, I'm definitely not going. I think it's when I'm on holiday.
Right. Okay.
because it's very early August, isn't it, or end of July?
Yeah, first of August, first weekend of August, I think.
Yeah, I'm away that
Right.
weekend.
Yeah, across July, August.
I'll,
Dickinson still hasn't had his vamps. Where did you order those from? Is that because the vamp supply problem? Because they're the first Soul Blight models, etc. Everybody bought them. That's not good that you haven't got them. Last weekend of July, yeah.
That is a bit crap. I remember someone saying, "Oh, GW should have released like versions for Underworlds with the cards, and then versions for AOS with just the models. Like they should have, but they wouldn't have made as much money, and that's why they didn't. I'm pretty sure."
Yeah. Right. So that's straight out of Shades Bar talked about. Are we going to crash on with the
We are.
rest of the Wayland games, all David?
I've not heard good things. I've not had I've not had good personal experiences with Wayland either. So I'm afraid to say.
I have to say I haven't actually directly used them, so I'm saying all David like they're terrible. But I have heard no say they're not great stock and stuff, and they tell you things that not necessarily accurate. Let's say.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway,
a tendency to maybe tell fibs.
Who enjoyed Warhammer Fest Online? It's the first one I've been to. Never managed to get there. That's a difficult thing for Games Workshop to do, I think. To keep that hype train running for an entire week. And some of the stuff was a bit lackluster, I thought. But then again, you can't continue to be spoiled. I really like the Gaunt Ghosts models.
Yeah, I need to look at the old version of Gaunt's Ghosts against those to see what they look like and stuff as well.
There's good experiences with Wayland games.
Yeah, that's good. That's good then.
Just this first time he's had a problem.
It is a bit
I
of
think
a
they
bummer.
were oversubscribed. They were oversubscribed, the vampires.
Yeah, I mean, they are fantastic models, but
yeah.
I mean, they're the first proper, really nice vampire models I think we've had in plastic. In AOS, I think, possibly.
I think you might be right. Not that I really follow vampire models, but yeah.
I mean, obviously there was like the Von Carstein and all that kind of stuff that came out, but that was in like fancy battle times in the 90s and stuff. So they're all metal and they're all of the kind of pose. So they're all single piece metal things, and these ones are just fantastic, and they fill all of the vampire niches. So. If you need your vampire niches,
I do like the models, particularly the thing I love about Underworld, microcosm of the army that you're playing. So they are just really nice. I wouldn't want to. I quite like the Soul Blight models. They do a them, but the four they just look great. Not that I'll ever get to paint those, I don't think, because you're doing those.
You might need to check your audio settings because your audio keeps cutting out. So you might need to check that there's no kind of auto, what's it called in your microphone settings. Sometimes they have like an auto mute when it doesn't detect a good enough level, just in case. I don't know if people are noticing at home. Yeah, Paintbat on Rolls just said that your voice keeps cutting out, and I wondered if it was just me, but I think it's the yeah, I didn't know, to be honest. Youngjin said that the chat for the Warhammer thing was just cursed city complaints the entire time. It's great. Timothy Greaves is in. Hello, we can start now, he says. We can't hear you at all now. I don't know what you changed, but we can't hear you at all. It started out so well, boys and girls.
What about now? Can you hear me now?
Can hear you now.
Okay. I think I turned the setting the wrong way. So let me know if I keep cutting out now.
Cool. Thank you very much. So let's crash on then and let's talk Hedkrakka. I guess we'll start with Hedkrakka.
I was trying to be like professional there, and I was going to go and talk about the AOS, and then I was going to go on to the crab. But you just leapt straight in 2 feet into the Hedkrakka. We talked about Hedkrakka a little bit last week, didn't we? So I'm not sure. We should probably save him until last.
Okay. You want to talk about the crab then?
Yeah. Well, we were talking about Warhammer Fest. I was going to ask if anybody's excited about AOS 3 first, but yeah, let's go and talk about the crab.
Let's talk crabs. I like the crab model. I think it's quite cool. I like the fish model. The rest of the Idenith, I'm a bit on. I'm not a massive fan of the fish elves, but I mean the models look alright. They're nice, detailed models.
Well, this almost follows on from exactly what I was saying a second ago. I wouldn't want a whole Idoneth army
Yeah,
by any stretch of the imagination, but love I love the crafted bases as well. They're very thematic.
yeah.
And I just love this little kind of fishy outpost.
Fishy.
Like, I don't love all the models, but I like most of them. And obviously, there's a crab and a fish. I actually like the fish more than the crab.
The fish does look quite cool. It reminds me of the I can't remember the name of the fish. There's a breed of fish that looks a bit like that. It has the big fins out the top and the bottom, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what some of the insane paint jobs people are going to crack out on that paint on that
lionfish, isn't it?
Yeah,
a lionfish.
No, it's different, but yeah.
I won't be able to do the fish justice, but fish justice.
Fish justice.
More fingers for all. I'm really looking forward to trying to paint him. And the crab, I do love the crab model. I can't work out how big it is. The crab.
I don't think it's massive. I mean, I reckon it's going to be around sort of spike shroom size, maybe a bit bigger.
Yeah.
Somebody has pointed out, and I agree. I'm quite interested to see what's going on with the fish, because the fish doesn't appear to have any attacks, but it looks like you gain. I think it's saying about you gain shoal tokens, and then maybe you can place the model back on the board in different places. So you might be able to use it for assists or for objective sort of hogging, stuff like that. Maybe. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes. Normally they can't hold objectives though. Those types of things, can they? So, don't think it can take. Actions can be removed without giving glory. Interesting.
It's definitely got some funky mechanics going for it. So
yeah. Maybe it will. Help you get supports and things.
That's what I'm thinking. That maybe you can shift it around and then get some supports with it, or if it gets taken off, you can put it back on again and stick it somewhere else on an objective to hog them and that kind of thing.
Boo! The crab is clearly superior to the fish. Well, it's not wouldn't do to all be the same. I like fish more than I like crabs.
I've had crabs and I do not recommend them. So
I do like. It's not like I don't like crabs. It's not like a black and white thing. I like both. Just like the fish a little bit more.
I distinctly remember years ago, the wife and I thought, let's try making crab cakes or something like that. I can't remember what it was. It was years ago before we had kids and we were, still adventurous. Then we were like, let's go, and we bought some crab. Then we brought it home and sort of ripped the shell open. Then realised we have no idea how to prepare crab, so we chucked it in the bin.
You were sick for a week.
Yeah, well, this was in days before YouTube was common on your phone, like, so it wasn't like we could just, now you just sit on your phone like, how do I cook crab, and you just get a YouTube article and you just follow it or whatever. But yeah, back then it was like, oh, we have no idea what we're doing. Anyway, let's order out for fish and chips instead.
Lazarus likes chips. So
who doesn't like chips?
That's fair enough.
What's chips, precious?
So as well as the sort of funky mechanics that the fish has, do we know much about the crab? I did look, but I can't remember particularly about the crab.
I know masses about the crab.
It's
got some kind of scuttle thing which Mark's just mentioned. But yeah, I don't know if it actually gave enough information to be able to tell.
Okay. Yeah. I'm also intrigued by the inspire mechanic, because we reckon that might be like a up and down kind of thing, don't we?
Inspire second round, uninspire third round kind of thing.
Yeah. So which is interesting, but because that is thematic with the iOS rules, that I understand.
Yeah.
And I don't really know how I would feel about that. How, in some ways, knowing when your warband is going to be at its peak is a good thing. Certainly, I quite like a sure thing for an inspiration mechanic.
Yeah, quite often you can have such a chaotic time trying. I was trying to think how many other warbands have such a guaranteed sort of inspire if it is just round 2. Obviously, Morgwares have round 3, but that's possibly not the most useful time to be inspired or to finally inspire.
Eric is pretty reliable.
Yeah, that's true. Just die, yeah. And eventually you're going to get inspired.
Whereas spoilers isn't bad, but you still have to kill 2, which if you're up against. something like Morgox, then
Morgox,
just
yeah.
cry into your cornflakes.
Goblins are pretty reliable. Mark Reynolds has pointed out that is true.
Yeah,
Goblins
that is very true. They are.
I remember back in the time when Goblins first came out, we would play games and we were like, I don't know if I'm going to get them inspired at the end of round one. These days, it's just, I mean, I'm not going to say it's a guaranteed, because I've had games where I've not scored more than about 4 glory in the whole game, but that wasn't with Goblins, and Goblins have many more ways to score glory. So.
Yeah, so far I've played with them a lot, but the Stalkers are pretty reliable. Obviously, you then have to. Snapshot is less so, but the rest of the Stalkers.
But then I'm trying to think. Have most of the games we've played had you with 3 objectives in your half? And I wonder if
I think so, possibly.
So I wonder if with
yeah,
not.
I feel like I haven't in one of them. But anyway, special scuttle reaction.
Could be like scurry from the Gits.
Crap, yeah.
As Youngjin says, could be like scurry from the Gits. I still like the idea of trying to set something up with the Gits where you can mass conjure a scuttle and have the card that makes everyone a quarry, and then the other card which basically flips all objective tokens that have a quarry on them to flip all the tokens, all the objectives in like one turn. Just bam, done.
Or feed the Beast Grave in one go.
Yeah, feed the Beast Grave, round 1, scored.
Pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, these are exciting. I'm struggling a little bit to be excited because there's just so much Underworld stuff coming out, or has come out, that I feel difficult to breathe. Which is ironic, really, because these guys are Underworld. It does feel a little bit like we're drowning in stuff. So
just release after release after release.
High tide. Sorry, I missed that.
As I was just saying, it's release after release after release at the minute, and there's
I understand it's a truncated season, so I get that, but it's tough. It's tough on the on content provision, although other people are definitely managing it better than we are, I think.
Yeah, I mean the Aussie guys, they are smashing out the content. I mean, they're doing great, and they've only got like 500 subs. They need many more subs, I think.
Yes, as long as you keep watching us.
As well, yeah, obviously. I mean, I'm hoping.
Sorry,
I was just going to say, I'm hoping that once we get back in the garage, or at some point in the future, the man cave, we will be able to show the world again what 4K content, Underworld's class content is all about, and not this TTS malarkey.
So far behind on Underworld, it's hard to catch up. Yeah, I think if you're behind in Diecast at this point, if you haven't bought any, just write it off. Get the next season, play Vanguard.
And even further behind in Warcry. Not as far behind as we are.
Yeah, we're only about a week in, aren't we?
I think
Mark
so.
Reynolds says it must be worse for new players, must be daunting for new players. Well, I guess, there actually seems to be quite a lot of new players on the Facebook forum. I'm not in the Discord so much, but in the Facebook forums there seems to be quite a lot of new players, which is great. But yes, it must be difficult. But I guess the starter set maybe lure a few people in. Maybe, I don't know whether anybody would have come over from the White Dwarf Code from Warhammer Underworld Online and then jumped across the actual game, because it is a really good game. I think it's a little bit overcomplicated at times, but it is a really good game.
Underworld's online?
No, well, right. Yes, Underworld.
Yeah.
Underworld, yeah, so it's... yeah.
Red Rose Wargaming says they're considering picking up AOS 3rd edition playing on 4x4. I think you could probably get away with that, depending on the army, depending on some of the stuff. You could probably do that. I mean, we never decided to try it because it was just too... It's just too many models, too much painting. We just couldn't keep up with it.
You need to have a bank of people to play, I think, so that you can each bring your army, each concentrate on your army and bring it and mix and match. So if you had the setup like the Tabletop Sydney have got, where they can bring in different people and then presumably have, it's a store, isn't it, have different models and things, I think that would really really be good for AOS, and that'd be lovely to do. I mean, AOS 3, I kind of like most of the Stormcast models. I'm a bit disappointed it is more Stormcast, but I kind of like most of the Stormcast models they showed. I really didn't like the big kind of beefy guy, but the rest of them I thought were pretty good. They reminded me of old Empire models. So,
I do like the more streamlined. They've definitely upped the level of detail, made them less chunky. I don't know size-wise if they're a lot taller, or whether they've just made the models, they've thinned them down a bit and made them a bit more like a bit like more gladiatorial and so on in their
Yeah,
setting.
they look a lot less like Space Marines. It's probably.
That's true. They do look a lot more like what was his name? Two thin coats. Our Lord Duncan. He made those Spartan,
They were brilliant. I love those.
and they look a bit more like that, I think. So
Yeah.
VJ, by the way, sorry, Mr. Morph. The Aussies you keep talking about was one of the ones Robin just mentioned. Tabletop Sydney. They're cracking out games like left, right,
2 or 3 a week, isn't it?
I think they're doing about 2 a week or so. Yeah.
Yeah. Red Roses, they've got lots of AOS armies, which is good. Yeah. Well, that's great if you have. I think for us, it's tricky to catch up now. I'd sort of like to. I'm painting more, but I don't think I'm painting enough. Small games, maybe. I almost need like a skirmish rule set for it. I know there was one, but I don't particularly like the big centerpiece models, which seems to be the way they're moving now because they can do amazing sculpts with them. I don't really like. I don't think there's been a single centerpiece model that I've liked for the last 5 armies, maybe.
And the other problem we have is that it wouldn't change very much week, month on month, and even with a smaller army set, it's still remembering all those rules and all the details and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think a model count of 10 and 5 rules is about as much as we can cope with.
Pretty much, yeah, and even then we struggle.
We do. So the Ideneth were very exciting. I'm looking forward to playing those. But first, we have to play Hedkrakka.
We are, yeah. So
and the new Silent Menace.
We're going to be playing Hedkrakka next Monday. It's going to be one of our games along with the starter box. We're going to be playing that with the starter box. There it's starter box.
I've really not looked at the starter box at all. I bet I probably ought to do that. Or maybe I'd try and do it from as a complete beginner, as just picked it up and opened it.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard for you to look at the starter box before Monday because you haven't got it, have you?
No, but I could probably look at the cards.
Yes, that's true.
Such places as Underworld's DB.
That is true. I'm assuming, are we going with you being the Stormcaster, me being the Ghosties, or are we going to swap?
I assume that that's how it would fall out, but I'm easy.
I've heard.
I've painted them both. Very exciting.
I was a little bit disappointed I didn't get a chance to put the spookies together because I quite like the look of them.
Well, you can still paint them, but
that's true.
Let's be honest.
when we've got the number of things we want to do, it's like, do I need to paint this, or should I just leave it and do something else? And I think
vampires. I'd love to play the vampires, but paint the vampires, but it's never going to happen.
They are fantastic models. It was like the Lizardmen. I started painting the Lizardmen same time as you, and then I got through base coating stuff, and then I just thought, why am I doing this? I need to paint other things instead. I need to paint things like this.
Yeah, Mark said he wasn't impressed with Hedkrakka at first glance, but they have some cunning stuff going on, and possibly the best wizard by far. Yeah, I haven't really looked in any great depth into them. I'm always a little bit worried because they can manipulate that primacy token so much. I'm a little bit worried that might give them a strong advantage. Not quite. I don't think it'll be quite as bad as Hrothgorn and his quarry stuff going on. But
no, I think
there is the trouble. There is a problem of abuse when one. We've seen it before. When one warband particularly mains a particular rule set. But we'll have to see. But yeah, they have got some nice cards. So do you want to talk about the Hedkrakka stuff first? Or we did do that last week. I wonder whether we ought to talk about the.
We went through the models, didn't we? So
yeah. Hidden Purpose. Silent Menace, not Hidden Purpose.
Silent but violent. Silent but violence. Let's look at the silent but violent cards.
VJ's asking about 40k orcs. So that's beyond my remit, I'm afraid, VJ. But he wants to know if anybody else is looking forward to it. I like the models, but we don't play 40k, so.
No, for the same reason we don't play AOS. It's just time.
Yeah.
I mean, I do like the new orcs because they're all monopose, and I know there are lots of people out there going, monopose. But they do look just so much better than the old multi-part models.
Yeah, I do like them. Yeah, I do like the models.
Yeah.
They do look good. So this hidden, Silent Menace pack is a deck of its own right, allegedly.
Yep.
Set the Tempo. Matt Set the Tempo. One of our patrons has written a really nice write-up of the cards. So I recommend going to check that out. But he kind of looked at it as from the point of view of whether it is a playable deck. I think it has potential, but there are some really tough cards to score.
Yeah. So let me bring them up. I'll bring up. I'll share my screen up here.
I think it would brick if you tried to play it as a whole deck.
Yeah, I think it would. So let me just bring my screen up. There we go. So, I mean,
Gene said he was really worried about the shooty Stormcast Warband before they showed you could only shoot once per round. Yeah, I haven't played them yet. I feel I don't like that because they inspire when that attack hits. I'm not sure. They seem to be my least favourite Stormcast Warband, which is saying something.
That's saying something, considering
I haven't played Severin for probably 3 years.
I don't think Severin's been on the channel since Nightfall days.
Yeah, no, don't think so.
So Yongjin says they remind him of Hrothgorn, where they basically abuse the mechanic of the season. Do you mean the Stormcast guys, or yeah? So we've got one of the cards up. So we've got the cards up here for the Silent but Violent pack. Should we go through them?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So what were you? Because I can't see.
You can't see my screen, so I mean you could bring it up on your screen, I guess.
Yeah, I've got them, but I just mean I can't see what you're showing.
Yes, I'm just going to go through them in order on Underworld's DB.
Okay.
So card numerical order.
Right. Okay. They've actually put them in not in reverse alphabetical order actually on Warhammer Community. So
that's what I'm going to be showing them off in his alphabetical order. So
that works. Okay. Normally it's reverse alphabetical order and it gets very confusing.
And Vijay just said what you pointed out as well, which is that the Silent Menace is actually a playable full deck, and it is fairly playable, although it has some very questionable cards in which we'll come to as we go through it, I guess, in a moment.
Playable. I was going to do a full video of this, but I won't necessarily. I might keep my powder dry, but I would like to see more of that, and then you could have interesting tournament formats where you could only pick from certain decks that perhaps play to a style. I think that'd be interesting. Because I do think there are too many cards in the game in a full season, or a full 2 seasons.
Yeah,
even in a full season, to be honest. But anyway, let's have a look. What
the first card is we've got Advancing Swarm.
Ooh.
I mean, the card's not bad. It's a nice. The card art's brilliant. It's got old Garrick and his boys on there again, which is always nice to see. It's an end phase card though. You've got to make 3 or more. You've got to have 3 or more charge tokens on, which might be easy.
There are definitely warbands that could score this and would want to score it.
Yeah, but I just wonder if there are easier end phase 1 glory cards out there.
I suspect there probably are.
Yeah.
But it's scoreable. If you're looking at the deck from a point of view that stands on its own, that is scoreable.
Yeah, true.
Unless you're playing
Moloch.
Moloch. Yeah, Moloch, yeah.
Next one we've got is Brutal Attrition, which is scoring an end phase again for 1 glory if the number of enemy fighters out of action is equal to or greater than the number of surviving friendly fighters. So basically you've got to kill more people than you have alive. I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that could be quite tough depending on who you're up against.
Yeah. You've got to kill more equal or greater than surviving friendly. Yes, yeah. I guess it's good for a small.
I guess you're right if you're Nurgle or you're Morgox or you're something like not Hrothgorn though, but
no.
And again, it's only 1 glory, so it's fairly small fry.
It's a funny card. When I'm trying to get my head around it, it's a funny because you can score it in a bloody battle where you've lost of fighters. It's not bad for the despoilers, for example.
That's true. That's true. If you've got only 1 person left alive and you've killed 2 enemy fighters, then you'll score it.
Yeah, but it's only 1 glory.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So next one is Cold-Blooded Killers, which is scoring an end phase again if 2 or more enemy fighters are out of action. Again, it's not a bad one, but it's end phase. It's 1 glory.
Yeah, there's a similar card already. The name of it escapes me. I get it muddled up with aggressive display. It might be aggressive display. I think it is. I get it muddled up with Surge of Aggression. It's the one where, but that one's a hybrid. So it's basically got this condition and another condition, which I think is 2 weapons upgrades on 1 fighter, which I guess almost nobody unless they're playing combo actually gets, or rarely gets. So this one seems like a worse version of that card, but I'm not sure it's one you double up on.
Yeah, because aggressive display is, like you say, it's a hybrid. So It's yeah.
I mean, I think you really rarely play for the second condition on that hybrid. I mean, most of the decks I play with aggressive display, I can't even score that card. Using the alternative, I very rarely take more than 2. I don't know, I could score it with 2.
And you
There
barely
is
ever
2 weapon upgrades.
you barely ever give them both to the same person.
Exactly.
The next one we've got is a 3 glory one. It's a hybrid called Demolish the Opposition, which is scoring a third end phase if there are no enemy fighters in enemy territory, or there are no more than one surviving enemy fighter. So it's a bit like a almost annihilation.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think if you annihilation is 5, and this would be 3, which I'm not sure. Having one fighter alive is easier than having none. But it's the first bit. It's an interesting one. Score this in the third end phase if there are no enemy fighters in enemy territory. So again, it's going to depend on your matchup. If you're the sort of warband that likes to invite fighters to come into your territory, then this is potentially a good card. But then you're looking at second game. If we're looking at a best of 3, second game, they're likely to not let you just score that card.
Yeah.
But then
they're going to be keeping a fighter back, aren't they? At that point,
keep a fighter out of the way. So it's an interesting card. That one, I quite like that card. I like that sort of card.
It encourages more thinking about, especially in best of 3 format. It encourages more thinking about what are you going to do next to counter it.
I don't think it's strong enough to actually make it into any championship decks, particularly when you've got things like to the end at the moment for 2 glory.
Yeah, exactly. The next one we've got is Forbidding Strike.
That's why people get very excited about this because it's a 2 glory surge. But to me, it's a 2 glory surge that's almost impossible to score.
Yeah, I agree. So on this one, it's you score immediately after an activation where a friendly fighter's attack takes the enemy fighter out of action if it was your first activation and the enemy fighter was holding an objective. Seems like a lot of requirements there.
I mean, it almost ought to be a 10 glory card. Because you can't score it in the first round. Well, you can.
I mean, you might be able to if you're really lucky.
It's not very likely, but you might be able to score it in the first round. But you've got to have it in hand, and you can't draw into it at any point. So yes, you can score it in the first round, but if you don't have it in your hand to start off with, you're screwed. And if it's towards the bottom of your deck, you're probably screwed.
Yeah.
It just seems. Or you can just imagine taking your first activation, then scoring, or maybe not first activation, but you're scoring your first objective and drawing into this, and this thing great, and then your opponent not being on any objectives. That's what you could throw it away. But it just seems to me it's too hard to score.
Yeah, I agree. So does Mr. Marlowe. Too hard to score, and one of the reasons why I don't think this is a particularly viable standalone deck.
No, because there's a few of these. There's a new step out for them in the first activation in the round.
Yeah.
But I think that condition alone makes the card almost not worth having.
Agreed.
Just because if you draw into it,
you're stuffed.
You can't. That's a dead card. You're down to 2 for the rest of the round.
So the next card we've got is Impending Doom, which is a surge. Score immediately after an activation if one or more enemy fighters are adjacent to 2 or more friendly fighters. I mean, that could be relatively easy to pull off.
That's one of the better cards for certain warbands. I mean, Gits.
When you're up against Gits, that's pretty easy, isn't it?
Gits love that one. Tim thinks it's way too hard as well. Tim knows what he's talking about.
Yeah. I think Impending Doom isn't bad. It's almost too easy for like Gits with their scurry mechanic to score this.
Yeah, I mean, it's Surge as well. I hadn't noticed that.
Yeah.
It's Surge, I mean, it's very. I mean, that's a good card for many warbands. I think about taking that in the Despoilers. The Despoilers struggle for reliable. The sixth Surge card is a bit always struggle for. So that one actually is pretty good.
And you've got a few push shenanigans with the Despoilers as well. They've got the push 2 Hunters 2 hexes each, so that could help you in that situation. And Mr. Marlowe points out
2 card. Andrew says yes. I mean, would you double up, Andrew? I think it's almost a solid enough card to double up. Although you've only got 4 fighters in there.
Yeah, but if you're lucky, you might have them both in your hand.
Yeah.
And then just double win it. But yeah.
forget you could use push cast to move an opponent onto objective. You could, Lazarus, but I'm still not sure it's a reliable. Because if you go first, then you would have to have done it at the end of the last round, and that's not normally when you want to go around pushing people onto objectives.
Yeah. Next one is Killing Strike, which is a surge. Score immediately after an activation in which a friendly fire's attack action takes an enemy out of action if that was your first activation. So this is very similar to the other one, but you've just got to take someone out of action with your first activation. Again, I think for the reasons we discussed, it's a dead card.
Yeah, Andrew made a very good point. The issue is not killing the target after moving. That is a good point.
Yeah, sometimes you have to move and then just not do anything.
Yeah.
Although with the Slanesh, you could possibly charge, use Hadzu or something to use his bow to pull them closer towards you. So you could do a damage and then pull them in to score that.
Nice. Killing Strike.
So Killing Strike, yeah.
Yeah, that's like a slightly more difficult to score strong start, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think I would take that. VJ wonders whether there might be mechanics to play into these cards that seem hard to score. There might be, but I'm not sure, because again, maybe if you go second in the round that you're doing, then you've got some chances to play some cards, do some shenanigans to make those cards easier. But if you go first, you're basically, I've got to do that first activation, I've got to attack and I've got to kill.
Yeah.
And that's too hard. I love the picture on it.
I mean, the picture's great, but at the same time, I don't know if I can show it off on here. No, I can't really show it off on here properly. The bat squig, just look at its nose next time you look at the picture. It's the most disturbing thing I've ever seen.
Okay.
Bat squig's nose is off-putting. So anyway, so what was that one? That one was Killing Strikes. The next one is Marital Adept. Which is a hybrid. Score in the end phase if one or more friendly fighters each have 2 or more attack action upgrades, so it's very similar to that other one we were talking about, or one or more friendly fighters have 3 or more upgrades, so it's effectively oh god, what was that card? Chosen Champion, or there was another version of it.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of these now, and I don't like them. Quite a few of the factions have got their own 2 glory ones, and I don't like them because they encourage Voltroning.
Yeah.
Or rather, they reward you for doing what you're going to do anyway.
Yeah.
Some glory for fighters that have only got 1 upgrade on might actually be more relevant these days.
Yeah.
Or have multiple fighters with 1 upgrade on. I think there are some of those, but yeah, that would be more interesting to encourage you to disperse your tools.
Upgrade, yeah. The next one's Orchestrated Kill, which is a surge. Score immediately after a friendly fighter's attack that takes an enemy fighter out of action. Again, if the friendly fighter had 1 or more supporting fighters. I mean, that's even harder to score than the other one. Than the second one. Because this one is you've got to take an enemy out and have the friendly fighter has to have supporting fighters. So, yeah.
Well, that's you, though.
I thought this was the first activation one. It's not, sorry. It's not. It's got to be your first activation.
It's the squigs doing you in.
It's still tricky, isn't it, though? The friendly fighter has to have supporting fighters. I mean, certain warbands might find it easier to achieve, but...
I think it's a Gits. I mean, it's got Gits on the card. I think Gits like this. I think the spoilers probably like it. Skeletons, not skeletons. Well, skeletons might like it.
Spookies, Grimwatch.
Good for swarms, yeah. Good for swarms, and stalkers like it.
Yeah,
and
possibly.
Chain rasps.
Trouble is, all of those warbands don't tend to be of the take an enemy out with the charge sort of ilk so much, but I guess you get the upgrades on them.
They do have the options. They do have the options, especially in the current meta with the amount of +1 damage cards that are floating around now. But
yeah.
I think that one will definitely see some play.
The next one goes Promise of Destruction. Score in an end phase if there are 1 or more persisting gambits.
If you're playing persisting gambits, then I guess
maybe. But then you're going to want to have at least like 2 or 3 persisting gambits in your deck to make that a viable choice, aren't you?
I mean, there are a few knocking around, but I'm not sure. Yeah, it could be worth it. That is a card, VJ. You said, and I think that is a card that maybe we could see some more cards coming in the last two warbands that make that more worthwhile. There are a few persisting gambits if you're playing Stalkers, for example. But still, for one glory, there might be more reliable options.
I think so. Stinging Strike is next. Surge. Score this immediately after an activation in which a friendly fighter's range 3+ attack was successful if that was your first activation. I mean, this isn't as bad as the other first activation cards. It's because it's a range 3+ attack, so it's going to be easier to pull off because you're going to have more range, and it's just got to be successful. But ranged attacks do tend to be a bit sucky.
Yeah, I mean three swords quite often, which isn't a bad odds, but I just think again, I suppose that one I think might see a bit more play in certain warbands, but I don't think anybody would rely.
The dwarves might.
Thundrix.
Yeah, maybe Thundrix.
Card. But then the cycle ploys. You probably have more knowledge of the cycle ploys. Would they work for Promise of Destruction, Pete?
I think so. I think they would.
I think they would too.
So it might be worth there, and I think there are a couple of cycle ploys are worth it now at least in Vanguard, or at least they were. I'm not sure what they're like now with the new cards.
It worked with Fast Riders earlier. Yeah, exactly. They would like this card, but it is that thing where if you've got it in hand and you roll a miss, then you're like, oh, that card is stuck in your hand. I think you have options. There are ways of boost. There's quite a few ways of boosting extra dice now as well for the attack, but it's doable, as Drop Bear has proved. Why are there so many in your first activation and for one glory we'll never see play? I don't know, Andrew. That's a very good question.
And one of the reasons why I don't think these decks
play is the final objective, which might be the worst objective I've ever seen.
Untouchable. This is god awful. Yeah, 2 glory might as well be 20. Score in an end phase if 4 or more surviving friendly fighters have 1 or more charge tokens, and no friendly fighters are taken out of action in this round. Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
What I wonder about this card, I was thinking if you were Skaven, then maybe, or Skeletons, maybe you would take it. But then I think the wording would be as such that because fighters have been taken out of action, then even if you brought one back, it would still count because one of them was taken out of action. I don't think it would count as.
Even if they were brought back and that didn't count, you wouldn't have 4 charge tokens.
True. No, I'd forgotten that bit.
Unless you have some deploys or things that give you a charge token for stuff, but again,
true, got too many.
It's a lot of work for 2 glory.
4 charges, and it's nuts.
Yeah. Joseph Bingaman is in. Hello, Joseph. Welcome aboard. So we're on to the ploys. We've got Acidic Strike, which is a fairly generic one.
Yes, and I do just want to make an untouchable swarm joke.
Go on then.
Because surely the ghosts should just score that automatically. They are actually an untouchable swarm.
Unforgivable swarm, unforgivable card, more like. It's not unforgivable though, Andrew. I'm afraid it's untouchable. Well, it is right in that no one's going to touch that card.
Yeah.
So on to the ploys. Acidic Strike is the first one. After a successful attack action from one of your fighters, pick one of the target's upgrades and discard it. Could be quite nasty. I think there was a Grimwatch specific card for this, like Scrabbling Claws or something. And now there's a generic ploy for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those cards I can see where you put it in your first cut. I think, oh, that would be really good. And then by the time you get to the last cut, it's gone.
Yeah.
Because I could see there are circumstances where it might be really useful, like especially if some of these cards that require you to have multiple upgrades with the same keyword in them, then you can destroy one of those, and that seriously screwed up your opponent's gameplay.
Yeah.
Maybe if the meta becomes very Voltron heavy with the Silent Relics or the Arena Mortis stuff, the Mortis Relics, then maybe this card is solid.
Yeah. Horned Rat Mini says first activation is almost like end phase. It's pretty much its counterpart. You only get one of them around.
Yeah, it's a good ploy, Andrew says. Yeah, it is a good ploy. And Henry says there's a number of cards available now that destroy opponents' upgrades, as well as adding move tokens to fighters seems like a basis for control deck. Yeah, definitely.
Could be. The question is, can you build an objective set of cards that go well with that are still scoreable? Because that's the problem quite often. If there were objectives out there that were like, Surge card, gain a glory when you remove a fighter's upgrade, things like that would be handy.
The thing with the first activation versus end phase thing, it's kind of like, but at least with the end phase, you've got multiple attempts to actually succeed.
Yeah.
And you can set up for it. With first activations, you have to be set up for it, and that's it, then it's gone. There's no more work into that objective, so I don't like them at all.
Yeah, you can pick up an end phase card midway through a round and still have a chance that you might be able to then position yourself to score it, whereas with the beginning of the round cards, you pick it up, you're screwed.
To be double glory, I think.
Yeah.
Well, that might make them worth doing.
The only way I could figure that you could possibly pick it up and still be able to score a beginning of round card or first activation cards is if your opponent went first and did something which enabled you to score a surge card, like end up with an enemy fighter next to two friendly fighters, and then you could score it, and then you would draw that one, and possibly, but even then it's so unlikely.
Yeah.
So the next one we got is a reaction. It's Hidden Sting. Play this after a friendly fighter's successful range 1 attack. If there were one or more crits, deal 1 damage to the target. It's okay, I think, but I don't know if I'd ever take it.
No, it's one of these ones I was thinking it could be good in my Despoilers deck, because you can get quite a few extra dice cards, and so but they don't do very much damage. So you roll quite a lot of dice, so it obviously increases your chance of getting a crit. But it also is a reaction, so it is stoppable from various plays. So I think on that basis, I probably wouldn't bother, because the last thing you want is when you roll a crit, actually we're about to play it and somebody play a reaction, stops you from doing it.
And it's only range 1 attacks, which limits it further.
Yeah, the Despoilers mostly are range. I mean, they have got crappy range attacks, but then I very rarely use those.
Yeah.
So they're pretty much always range 1.
Next card we've got is Hypnotic Buzz. I love the fact it's got Vortimus just sort of hiding behind a rock. You can almost imagine him giggling to himself. Choose one enemy fighter within 2 hexes and push the chosen fighter 1 hex. Within 2 hexes of a friendly fighter. It's like a slightly more rubbish distraction.
Yeah, it's what the game needs. The game doesn't need distractions, but this is all right. This one.
Yeah, I agree. There isn't a distraction in the Essentials pack, is there?
Oh, so distraction and the other one. I forgot what the other one's called. Hidden in the Shadows. Is it? I can't remember what it's called, but Nightmare in the Shadows. I can't remember what it's called. But
Nightmare in the Shadows. I think it is.
Nightmare in the Shadows. Yeah, it will. They will just both rotate out. So yeah, this may be it. And a couple of other. The Hungry. There's a Hungry one, isn't there? They've got
Caterpillar. Hungry Caterpillar.
Hungry Caterpillar. Hungry Caterpillar.
A hungering Caterpillar.
Yeah, I quite like a Hypnotic Buzz. It's the sort of change in card design that we've seen in Chasm, which has been obviated a little bit by the Essentials pack, but this isn't, because like you said, Pete, there isn't a distraction in there. So I like Hypnotic Buzz.
Sorry, just yawning. Andrew Marlowe says that Hidden Sting, he likes the idea it's a toned down trap or twist the knife, but it is because you've got to rely on the dice. I wonder if it should have been that if you roll a crit, you get +2 damage, and if you just get more successes than your opponent, you get +1 damage, to make it a little bit more reliable, but not to break the bank kind of approach. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's a bit like concealed weapon then, wouldn't it? But
a little bit, but only once.
Possibility of interrupting it.
Yeah, and only one. So
hungry. But yeah, that would have been good.
It's
not a bad card. It's not a bad card.
No, I think it could have been slightly better, but yeah.
Yeah.
The next one is Maddening Drone. Choose one enemy fighter, and that fighter player picks one of the following. They have to give that fighter 1 move token, or that fighter is uninspired and cannot be inspired again until the end of the round, or until they're taken out of action. Which makes no sense, because then they're dead and it doesn't matter if they can be re-inspired. But I guess it could be a Skaven or something. And when the effect ends, the chosen fighter is inspired. So I mean, it's a way of giving somebody a move token or having to uninspire them, which could be good against old Molochs, maybe.
Yeah.
Or Hrothgorn, I guess, something like that.
Hrothgorn more than Moloch, because Moloch, okay, you have hampered him, but he can still move. But yes, it's a good control. I can't see many people picking the uninspired thing.
No.
Maybe you would.
But if you don't pick the uninspire move, then it's taking your fighter out possibly for the round.
Yeah. Cards you've got in your hand, I suppose. But yes, you're right. It's interesting. If the effect persists until the end of the round or until the fighter is taken out of action. When this effect ends, the chosen fighter is inspired.
So it will inspire them if they're not.
It's an interesting.
What's interesting?
Sorry. I'm just trying to read the text because I might. Well, it says when the effect ends, the chosen fighter is inspired. So does that mean if they can choose that they can't be inspired, and then they pick the latter, the effect persists till the end of the round or until the fighter is taken out of action. If they're not taken out of action, and then it ends, do they become inspired?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. So I hadn't really noticed that. It's slightly odd. So they can choose to not be inspired for the rest of the round, but then they become inspired after the end of the round.
So you kind of only want to play this against people who have, you only want to play it on an inspired fighter, whereas it's a free inspiration for them.
Yeah, interesting.
This one will cause a bit of chaos with the whole. If you use a ploy on a Skaven fighter, it inspires them, but you choose them and inspire them, and then this uninspires them.
So I wonder whether they meant that, or whether they just meant they go back to being inspired, if they were inspired. Which is not what it says.
I think they do. I think either way, whether they're inspired or not beforehand, they then are inspired afterwards.
Yeah, I wondered if they. I wonder if they actually meant it to be like that, or whether they just actually meant if the fighter was inspired, they go back to being inspired.
I see. Yeah, possibly
that
not.
Made sense. It's only when I've just read it now that I've realised that.
Yeah. I mean, there's a card. It could be useful for adding a guaranteed move token to a fighter because you haven't got to be near them. Yeah. So that could be useful in that situation.
Yeah, it's not guaranteed because the player picks it. But
yeah.
It is. But yeah. If the fighter was taken out of action before the end of the round, they can't score the objective of persisting ploy. No, that's right because it's ended.
Mr. Marlowe says that's an uninspiring card. Well done, Mr. Marlowe.
Membranous Wings. I like this card.
Which is basically... Yeah, I quite like the artwork on it.
Yeah.
It's basically Spectral Wings.
But only on a charge.
Yeah, true. Which, again, I like because it's it restricts it's not as ubiquitous as Spectral Wings was. But it still has its place.
No, it's true. I can't think of very many circumstances, I'm sure there are some, but where I have used Spectral Wings and not charged. No. So, to a degree, it isn't great. I suppose it stops you from running away.
Yeah.
Where Spectral Wings, you could run away with it and run into the back corner and not get caught. You can't do that because you've got to charge.
Yeah, exactly. And interestingly, they use the Kernoth for this one and for the Spectral Wings one.
Almost like known for being fast.
The next one is Spirit Comb, which is just the most bizarre artwork in the world. I'm assuming it's meant to be like hive, like honeycomb, but Spirit Comb instead.
Okay.
Choose friendly fire and heal them 1, or heal 2 if they have 3 or more upgrades. Again, I don't like this card because it's playing into the whole Voltron thing.
Yeah. As objective players, Sepulchral Guard is use Spectral Wings to get objectives. Fair enough.
Yeah, there is that as well.
I wonder whether they're normally if playing Sepulchral Guard, they're normally around near somebody, so you might charge as well at the same time. Spirit Comb is not a card I wanted to see.
Yeah.
Ferocious Resistance is, obviously it's not as bad as Ferocious Resistance, but if you've got 3 or more upgrades, you get to heal 2. That's nobody who's playing against Monarch with 3 objectives on him wants him to be able to heal 2.
Yeah, and it's better than healing potion because you have to roll dice for that to be able to get two heals. So
yes, I can't see because they've reprinted healing potion, but I can't see healing potion getting much play while this is in the game.
No, exactly. It's Mr. Marlowe agrees, not good for the game. I agree. More depressing healing on the big guys. I can see this if they ever do get around to creating a new file list. I can see this landing on there pretty quick.
One of my major complaints about this deck, it plays into the Voltron meta.
Yeah,
there's more cards coming.
Talking of that though, the next card doesn't so much because it's Strength of the Swarm. +1 dice for the next attack made by a friendly fighter if the attack has 1 or more supporting fighters. In addition, you get +1 damage for the next attack made by a friendly fighter if the attack has 2 or more supporting fighters, and this effect persists until after the next attack action made by a friendly fighter. So basically it's up to the first bit is +1 dice for 1 as support and +1 damage for 2 supports.
Yeah, which is quite nice.
It's okay. I mean, you've got things like Inspired. Is it Inspired Attack, whatever it is?
Well, that's +1 dice. But there are a few cards now that give you extra support.
Yeah, true.
You can utilise that. And if you were trying to score that objective, which required you have support, then this card is useful. And it's interesting. It persists until after the next attack action made by a friendly fighter. So theoretically, you could play it at the end of the round, score the persisting ploy objective, and then in the first round use it.
Yeah, true.
So it will persist until you attack again. So that's an interesting difference. It's not the end of the round.
Don't you remove all ploys at the end of a round?
I don't think so, because some effects persist for the rest of the game until the fighter take out of action, don't they?
Maybe.
Like some poisons and things. So I don't think so.
So it's all right. I mean, it's good for more swarmy warbands, getting good for the gits and stuff like that. Yeah. Next one is Swarming Advance. Again, a bit more swarmy. I'm not sure about this card though. Choose 1 friendly fighter in enemy territory and push up to 2 other friendly fighters 1 hex so they're closer. I mean, it's kind of a bit handy. You've got to be in your opponent's half to start with, but it kind of helps a little bit. It
goes nicely with Strength of the Swarm.
Yeah,
and pays into all that stuff. So they are trying to give a few boosts to Swarm warbands. The only problem with that I can see is that it pays into like people who've got big scything attacks and things.
But you see, things like this, which help swarmy warbands move forward a few of their fighters, it always helps smaller warbands more, because it's like if you've got, say, Morgox, you charge 1 person in, and then you can use this on your other 2 fighters, and you've only got 2 other fighters, so it's 100% useful for that.
Yeah.
There is that problem, but it's not a bad card for two 1 hex pushes. Next one, Swarming Strike, which is first friendly fighter to make an attack action. The next activation is considered to have 1 additional supporting fighter, which goes with the other card. It's okay. I'm not sure I'd take it though.
Depends if you're trying to. I'm going to have to make a swarm deck now. Great Morgott card, Andrew. So that's probably pertaining to the last one.
Yeah.
But I mean, to be honest, either is good if you're rolling a lot of dice. Who rolls 4 swords? That's Vasilak, isn't it?
No, Slake Slash rolls 4 swords.
That's extra support and fighter.
Yeah, true.
I mean, these cards are stronger with the new support rules.
That is also very true. Yeah.
So it's the swarming strike. I could see some play. I think in the right warband.
Andrew's asking, 1 additional, does that mean you have to have a supporting fighter already? No, it just means that you start with 0 and then you've got 1 more. So it's then 1. Symbiote's Call. Pick 1 feature token within 1 hex or more. Within 1 hex of 1 or it threw me because it uses the number 1 for 1 hex and it uses the word 1 for 1 or more friendly fighters, which just screwed my brain up. So pick 1 feature token within 1 hex of 1 or more friendly fighters, and then pick.
You say the word 1. Then pick 1.
One.
That's impressive. So there's 1, 2, 3 and 1. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so three in the sentences.
Yeah.
Oh no, 4.
Three of the word one and one of the number one.
Oh yes,
in
and then
sentence.
there's another one.
Yep.
Pick one, flip that token, or push one friendly fighter. 1 hex. Fantastic.
1-1-1, 1-1-2, and then they go back to number one again. They seem to always use numericals when they talk about hexes. I don't know why.
Yeah. I still don't know what the card does.
So basically, pick a feature token within one hex of one. Within one hex of one or more friendly fighters, and then pick one. You can either flip that token or push a fighter 1 hex, so they're in the same hex as the token.
Yeah, it's not bad, is it?
It's okay.
It's certain warbands.
Yeah.
In certain warbands, that's good. Feed the Beastgrave decks. I love that card.
It still bugs me that he uses both versions of one in the same sentence. It just gets on my nerves.
Can't use it on grammatical grounds.
And then we're on to the upgrades, starting with possibly one of the most disgusting upgrades to come out in this deck. Augmented Limbs. This fight is a quarry, which mostly means fuck all. If they're a quarry, this fight's range 1 attacks have +1 dice.
Yeah.
It's hard to get plus dice upgrades. I don't know if we've had any +1 dice upgrades really before, but this one...
Army of 1. But
yeah.
Draknar likes this card.
I mean, Moloch doesn't, because his attack's range 2, so there is that. But Hrothgorn's...
No, is it? But I think
it might be, yeah. Yeah, Silent Menace range 1.
But yeah.
But Moloch sharpening his hunting dagger. +1 dice there, that'll be rolling 4 hammers, I think.
Hrothgorn's.
Yeah.
Sorry, you said Moloch, but yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
Is hunting dagger only range 1? Yeah.
It's just... I mean, there's going to be a lot of fighters out there that are going to like this card. Drop Bear says Tooth Dagger and Slake Slash, love that card, but Slake Slash... Oh no, Slake Slash is a range 1 attack. Yeah, so he's going to be rolling like 5 swords.
Yeah.
An unrestricted Strength of Terror, basically.
That's nuts.
Yeah. Don't like it. It's going to get restricted.
It's an unrestricted Strength of Terror. Is it the same card? Or does Strength of Terror do anything else?
I cannot remember now.
Dirty card anyway. And again, plays into Voltron.
Yeah, which I don't like. The next one...
I like the next 2 cards, but I have a suspicion that they're not as good as other types of weapon that are available in the game.
We've got the Shitting Scimitar. 3 swords, 2 damage and cleave. If you roll no success, you can re-roll one. I quite like that. You've got a little bit more of a chance of hitting if you miss.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's an interesting one. I feel like the soul, whatever they're called, soul tooth are better. When you can re-roll if your opponent's made a charged token or moved. Range is different. Oh, okay. So the range is better for Strength of Terror. Okay. And the Chitin Spear, again. Spears are always good, but I mean, you would like this dice, Pete, because you always miss, so you've got one dice, but then you probably just miss again.
Yeah, that's true. That's effectively a 3 hammer 2 damage attack for me with a Shitting Spear, but yeah, 3 misses is much the same as 2 misses.
3 swords with 2 damage with cleave isn't to be sniffed at as an attack.
No, it's not bad. And then after that we've got Collector, not the Collector, just Collector, which is a reaction after this fighter's activation in which they make an attack action that takes an adjacent fighter out of action. You can give this fighter 1 upgrade from your hand. I mean, again, it plays into that whole Voltron thing. People like Hrothgorn and Moloch, they should be like, splat you dead, I'll have an upgrade. Splat you dead, I'll have an upgrade.
I kind of feel like though this card won't see much play because I know you want to try and generate your glory, but once you're down the track, you've got enough glory to put on the upgrades you've got.
True.
If you see what I mean. So I feel like you'd better putting an upgrade on that makes you better at killing things and then kill things.
Yeah, and get the glory to just put the upgrade on. Yeah, that's true. That is true. It's possibly better early doors in the game because you kill 1 person, but you can put 2 upgrades on possibly in that situation.
Yeah, but you've got to kill somebody else afterwards, assuming you've got
Yeah.
no glory.
Well, yeah, you've got to get a glory somehow to get this, but then if you kill someone, you get 2 upgrades.
But it just seems, I don't know.
It's a bit like a toned down Tome of Offerings. Yeah, it's a bit more restricted. It's better early doors than late. Assuming it means
Tome of Offerings +1 glory.
Yeah, so it's a bit like that. Just that it restricts you to putting. Although it doesn't give you the glory, so it doesn't necessarily increase your chance of winning. It just enables you to put upgrades on.
There was a card. There was a, but it might have been a Godsworn Hunt specific one. There was one you could put on them for free. It was just an upgrade that was free, wasn't it? If you killed somebody, you put an upgrade on them.
Henry Rodriguez says that this card will go well with those Arena Mortis cards. I mean, if you play Arena Mortis, does anybody play Arena Mortis?
Well, the cards, but you can use the cards in the game because obviously we're not to Vanguard Plus. We kind of tend to forget them. Yes, they've got little things you can do with them, can't you? So that is a good use of them because you can put them on and you've still got the glory to spend to do the push or the one that does card draw, I think.
Yeah, there is. The next one is the Extruded Snare, which is range 3 and 3 swords, 1 damage. But if the attack succeeds, give the target a movement token and get rid of the card. So it's another nice way of getting movement tokens on fights, which could be quite a pain in the arse.
Yeah, how many snares are there in the game now?
I don't know. If I had another UWDB window open, I would search it, but it's got a few.
I thought you did. I wouldn't have asked a question.
Oh, sorry. Well, I have technically got it open, but I'm sharing the screen so that everybody can see it.
Fair enough. Regenerative Cycle.
Yeah.
Not sure I like this card.
No, again, this feels a lot like the whole Voltron-y thing. After the fighter's activation, 1 or more, you can discard power cards and heal that many wounds. I mean, if it's a choice between get rid of a couple of ploys and keep Mollog alive, you're going to keep Mollog alive, aren't you?
I think so. I kind of just wonder actually ultimately whether, I mean, people who play the big guys might know better whether you're still, in the current situation, just taking Ferocious Resistance and the new Healing 2 card. Yeah. Because this requires you to put it on and then have power cards to throw away. And those power cards are normally going to be quite good to help you maul things. So I just wonder whether there are better uses. But, you in a pinch, like you say, Pete, Monarch's nearly dead. You've just taken a new power card hand. Then, wallop.
Yeah, or even if you want to keep your ploys, if you've got a load of upgrades, not having the upgrades, but having a living Mollog's better than a dead Mollog and a handful of upgrades.
Absolutely. I think you're going to have to play some reps to see how often you actually got to use it to any great effect.
Yeah. Gio Alfarius says, so far this is the only card he would buy this set for.
He actually thinks it's well worth it.
I think, unfortunately, because it's that good, it's immediately why I'm not a big fan of it.
Yeah.
Any card that becomes the reason to buy a deck is almost, reason enough to almost ban it straight away. The next card I think is a crap one, Savage Soldier. If you've got 2 or more upgrades, you get +1 dice to their range 1 attack. Oh no, this isn't the one that I think is crap actually. This one's the nice one. So if you've got 2 or more upgrades, you get +1 dice to your range 1 attacks, and if you've got 4 or more upgrades, you get Cleaving and Snare.
I hate this card completely.
Yeah. It's just.
So, I mean, like if you put this and
is it Deserved Confidence or whatever it was?
Augmented Limbs on.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's Deserved Confidence, isn't there? Which is the one that gives you other upgrades for having other bonuses for having upgrades. Yeah.
I mean, it's a great, and Tim says he likes it. Yeah, it's a great card, but I feel like it just goes one step to not ruining the game, but just making it who can get their objectives out the fastest.
Now, Jason Newell has said a comment which he says he finds kind of annoying when people complain about focusing upgrades on Mollog or Hrothgorn when that is what those warbands were designed for. What we're going to go madly upgrade status quo. I agree, that's what they're there for, but that's why a lot of people fucking hate Mollog. Because that's all it is. It becomes a race of can you put all the upgrades on Mollog and make him unkillable before your opponent can kill him.
Well, it's an example. Yes, it's an example of where the extreme of the game, skews it, and that's why they get picked.
Yeah,
it's the same for the Orcs as well. It's just anything. Nobody's gonna get too upset if you put Savage Soldier on Dibs.
Yeah. Wolfengas says, what if you've already got 3 upgrades? What the chance you've already got Cleave and Snare? I mean, I don't know. the chances
Not
of
both.
getting... I don't think they're
One or the
massive.
other.
Because
Not
you're
both.
probably going to be going for like plus damage upgrades, plus wounds, and various other things as well. So yeah, I'm not sure it's a given.
It's better than some of the other options where it doesn't matter what upgrades they are. Whereas obviously, like
Yeah,
the next two we're going to talk about, they have to be other silent relics to work together.
yeah. So
Whereas this is basically, you've got any other upgrade with Savage Soldier, you get +1 dice.
Andrew Meyer
Um,
says this should be called the Voltron card back. It kind of should have been,
yeah,
I think. So the next card then, as you mentioned, is the Silent Armor, which is a silent relic. They're a quarry, and if they're a quarry, they get the following reaction, which is after their move, you can remove all guard tokens from all enemy fighters adjacent to this fighter. That's not bad. And they get +1 wound if they have 2 or more silent relics. So it's okay.
it's I think if you got guard tokens when things put you on guard, I would say it was better. But actually, it's certainly in my experience recently, most things that you're fighting when they're on guard, your opponent hasn't put them on guard or given them a guard token. They've just got some sort of innate ability or some card that puts them on guard rather than having a token.
Yeah.
So I think it's less good for that. +1 wounds is never to be sniffed at.
Yeah. But you need 2 upgrades to get the +1 wounds bit, so
Yeah.
must be less worthwhile. But again,
Yeah.
it's another way to get
You're
another extra wound.
certainly going to take the next card.
The Silent Ring. Again, it's a silent relic, and they're a quarry. If they're a quarry, they have a reaction, which is after the activation of this fighter. You have 3 or fewer power cards, you draw a power card. And you get +1 dice to their range 1 attack actions if they have 2 or more silent relics, which is another +1 dice. You can get up to +3 dice to your range 1 attacks in this deck alone. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I'm not a fan in that respect, and I feel like I'm moaning about the cards all the time these days. And maybe I've been playing the game for too long.
Or maybe we're not playing enough to find out these things aren't a big deal. Maybe, I don't know, but
maybe.
It feels like all of those cards, you take enough of them, and you're going to end up with multiple +1 dice on your fighters. And if you've got Molog with his spinny attack, which is nothing to be sniffed at still, and it's going to have like +2 or 3 dice to it, that's going to be like 5 or 6 dice. I mean, Dropbear does say that things like Acidic Strike and Spike Glass will really mess up the silent relics. Yeah. But again,
they will, because there aren't that many silent. I'm just looking at how many silent relics there are. There are 4 at the moment. Mine assumes that they'll go to 6.
Yeah.
There's a silent sword that I completely forgotten about, which gives you +1 damage, but only if you're a quarry and in no one's territory. Oh, so it's +1 damage. It's a 3 hammer, 2 damage attack, so it's pretty solid. And then there's the silent helm,
which isn't bad.
Which reduces crits to successes, which is I think our friend Anonymous Jeff loves to put on Snurk.
Oh yes, that bastard, that for Snurk. Oh, you've rolled a crit, have you? Let me just pick up my 3 dice now and show you what it's all about.
Yeah.
And then the last one in here is the Swift Soldier upgrade, which is probably one of the worst upgrades in this pack, which is if you've got 2 or more upgrades, they get +1 move, and if you've got 4 more upgrades, they get +2 move. Who cares?
Yeah, you know what? I've been reading that wrong. Just about the way it's written. I've been reading that as +2 move and +4 move.
Well, that would be nicer, although still I think largely pointless.
That'd be good to score that objective where you have to be the fastest moving thing.
That's true.
You've got +4 move.
But that is it.
But if you were going to pick one, you'd take Savage Soldier, wouldn't you? Not Swift Soldier.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. So let's just jump back out, remove the screen share. There we go. So I think overall, I think this deck really does play into the whole Voltron thing. Really does encourage.
I've forgotten what Spike Glass does.
I think that's the case. If you're going to Google it now.
Just looking it up.
It's
Spike Glass. Reaction after attack action that targets this fighter. Pick one of the attacker's upgrades. Discard that card and discard. Yeah, so that is maybe it's okay then. Maybe you can counter the maybe it's going to cause the pendulum to swing back.
But you'd just go and clobber someone else instead, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but that is okay because you can put it on your best fighter. But then maybe then people start thinking, actually, this Voltron meta isn't quite so solid, so I'm going to start taking some objective play things.
But there's only two. There's only two things that can get rid of upgrades. So if you've got eight upgrades on your fighter, you might lose one of them possibly.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the Silent Ring doesn't. When you're drawing a power card, it's good. You can only do it so many times before you run out of power cards. But I suppose you might keep using them as well.
You can only use it until you have 3 up ploys, though, can't you? Or 3 cards in your hand.
Yeah, exactly. So you can only keep. But I suppose you get to a point in the game where actually you can almost play whatever you draw.
Yeah.
So you may actually not, and it is only after activation. So, but you +1 dice for the attack action is really what you want. And I suppose if your opponent destroys your other Silent Relic, then that might make it difficult. It's hard to play all of the Silent Relics and the Arena Mortis Relics, and there's a couple of other things that work together, aren't there? The Savage Soldier works with anything. It's hard to play all of them. They're all good. True. But I think they'll be restricted. And I think Augmented Limbs will be restricted. I mean, Augmented Limbs and Savage Soldier on the same fight, which is dirty.
Yeah, it's +2 dice.
Yeah. And
it's just disgusting. Andrew Mollo says that whilst the rule where you give 2 glory for a 6+ wound kill, he thinks 2 glory for a kill which has 3+ upgrades would be better. I agree. I think they should be.
I think that would be better.
I'd almost prefer. Sorry, go on.
Or some objective cards that play into that. So you get glory for having fighters with that many objectives on. But I think you could upgrades on. But I think you could get glory. If you kill things with multiple objectives, you should get glory too.
Multiple upgrades. But yes.
Sorry, upgrades. Not multiple objectives.
I think there should be some kind of extra glory gain when you kill someone that has like +1 glory if they have 3 upgrades, +2 glory if they have 5 upgrades, +3 glory if they've got 7 upgrades, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Make that worth. Sorry?
Very much so. Something like that.
Or even just for every upgrade they had, you get a glory for killing them, an extra glory.
Yeah, that would be interesting. That one of those rules. I wonder if they ever tested it. It'll be interesting to see how it played.
Yeah. The alternative to countering the Voltron meta is to just introduce that rule of 1, where you can only have one person can have that named upgrade. That way, the upgrades that become the must-have choices quickly become very unreliable cards to take because your opponent might then play it and you lose it.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. We talked about that too. We wanted to run a side tournament, didn't we?
Yeah.
Or somebody else because we didn't have time.
Yeah, I'd still like to do that at some point, to run that and see what they do. Yeah,
I think Andrew, the Godsworn Hunt card you're talking about, I think was only if they had 4 or more wounds. You had to kill them, not 2 or more upgrades.
Yeah, you're right.
I used to hate that card. It was such a trap. I found. I know you loved it, Andrew. But I found whenever I took it, I couldn't kill the thing with 4 wounds, and then you were stuck with this card in your hand.
Yeah, crap. Now I can't.
You didn't want to throw away because it was 2 glory, but you then kept missing the attack.
I feel like, because G. Alfaris has said as well that Silent Relic should go to 2 glory to equip rather than restricting. GW always set precedent in Shadespire. I agree. I think there should be more cards now that require multiple glory to use. I mean, things like Visions of Glory was a great card because you had to use a glory to equip it. You had to then use a glory to use it, that kind of thing, and that opened up a much nicer dynamic because you had to then play the card, then you had to play a glory to use the card, so you couldn't necessarily just blast out in one go. You had to build up that glory reserve to start with. I preferred that kind of thing, or possibly make it even tougher and make it so you have to discard the glory rather than spend it, so you could actually be affecting your score. That could make things much more of a do I, don't I? Yeah.
Yeah. And because but Vision of Glory has a built-in thing where it's telegraphed as well, which is quite nice. So you because you have to set it up.
Oh, Ed's got to go. Cheers, Ed.
Oh,
Thanks for joining us.
So you kind of almost put a target on that fighter's head. And maybe sometimes you can't, your opponent can't do anything about it, but other times you right. Well, I need to home in on that fighter before they use it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think. I mean, sorry, go on.
I'm just reading Jockware's comment. Maybe each extra wound or damage upgrade could cost progressively more glory. Kind of feel a bit like that. Something. I just feel like something needs to be done. But then, this time last year, we were possibly saying something needs to be done to stop the whole objective. Maybe not this time last year, but
yeah,
it's a pendulum. I feel like I said this in our patron chat that there's more than one handle on the tiller. Sorry, on the tiller of the boat, the Underworld's boat, and somebody is trying to make interesting nuanced cards like Savage Strength, and there was another one here, Hidden Sting, and Maddening Drone, and things like that. And then somebody else is saying, bollocks to that, +1 wounds, +1, +1 damage, +1 dice, whatever, as many as we can. To me, it just seems like the two things are, there's no point in having subtle nuance cards if you then print 10 or 15 bloody awesome cards that everybody just takes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we were both big fans of, Savage Strength and Savage Speed and the Scavenged Armour and that kind of things as an alternative to Great Fortitude, Great Strength and Great Speed. And then they printed the Essentials pack. It was just like, you were coming up with some really nice, thinky cards that required you to decide, make some nasty calls on what you want to do. And then you just brought out the old cards that were better anyway. So it's like, Feral Symbiote, it was only range 1. You gained hunger tokens. You could wound yourself if you used it a lot. And then, or you could just have Great Strength. Which one do I pick?
Yeah, I mean, almost nobody would take Feral Symbiote now. There's so many +1 damage cards, I think.
Yeah. Well, I think you'd take Feral Symbiote if you were working on a hunger deck.
Yeah. But that's quite a unique set of circumstances. Yeah. I haven't checked the new cards whether these buy into that. Not these, but the new Hedkrakka ones, whether that makes hunger any better. I'm not sure that it's still in that good a place unless you're playing the vampires.
They didn't add many. I think they added about 7 or 8 cards in total from the Hedkrakka and the Silent but Violent, or in fact the Silent but Violent ones don't have any. It was only Hedkrackers which had about 6 or 7 cards. I think that had hunger in them, and most of them are crap. I think there might be one card that might be possibly worth taking. It was an objective, I think, and that was have 2 enemy fighters out of action and 2 fighters with 3 hunger tokens on.
Right. I just remember seeing that, thinking, bloody hell, that's hard.
I mean, that's possibly more doable for vampires.
Yeah.
But yeah, anybody else, that's a real pain in the ass.
I don't think there's anything here which buys into the hunter either. So clearly the silent people are meant to be slightly scared, running around in the shadows, nobody seeing them, because there's a few cards that make people quarries.
Yeah.
But nothing I don't think that makes you a hunter or even interacts with the hunter keyword.
I mean, going back to the glory and objectives and upgrades and cost and stuff like that, Jason came up with one which is like each additional upgrade in a set costs an additional glory to put on. I mean, yeah, that would help.
Yeah.
But then I think it should just be any fighter. So the first upgrade you put on them is 1 glory, the second upgrade you put on them is 2, the third is 3, and so on.
That would certainly encourage you to spread your upgrades.
Yeah.
And it would also but make certain cards much less desirable to score, because you would be looking at the one that gives you 1 glory for having 3 upgrades on. You've got to spend an awful lot of glory
to spend 6 glory for that. Yeah.
Right, but the effects are powerful, so maybe that would be okay.
Plus, it would then give you a bit more reason to take those cards which are do this thing and put an upgrade on your fighter for free.
Yeah, definitely.
If you want to put that 4th upgrade on them,
greater currency.
Yeah. And I feel you even need to do that. You even need to make to stop this Voltron-y kind of meta. you either need to make it progressively more expensive to put those upgrades onto a fighter, or you need to make that fighter progressively more of a juicy target when you do it. Because at the minute, if you put 9-10 upgrades on one fighter, whoever that fighter is, generally it's just not even worth going after them at that point. But if suddenly that fighter's worth 7 glory, then it's worth doing, and it puts you off doing that in the first place to your own fighters, making them such a target.
Yeah, thematically it makes sense as well, because obviously you have the glory of taking down this amazingly well equipped and ferocious fighter.
Exactly.
That kind of thematically makes sense.
And as Dropbear says, it would add more decisions making to your upgrades too. Do you put the upgrade on straight away, or hope to have a better one for you? Yeah, it would. I think it would just make the game a little bit more thinky without it being too.
Just knowing your next one was going to cost you 2,
yeah,
would make you wonder whether you ought to put on the first one if it wasn't
exactly.
particularly great.
And it wouldn't be too bad for the first 1 or 2 first couple of upgrades. It's only 1 glory more for the second one, 2 glory for the third one. But it does after your second upgrade, does start to make it more of a head scratcher of whether you do that.
Yeah, I mean, I would almost make it a bit easier. Maybe just say you can only have 3 upgrades on a fighter, but you can change them. So you still spread the glory. But so you could put a different one on and discard one of the other ones.
Yeah.
That too mitigates things.
Yeah, and I guess if you do that, because if you've got like a one-man band fighting machine that's just printing glory, it maybe doesn't matter if you've got to spend 3 glory to put an upgrade on or 4 glory to put an upgrade on, because you're like, I don't care, I've got 20, so I'm just going to just do whatever and just dump it on there. But if you just limit it to 3 upgrades or something like that, or say that no fighter can have more than 3 upgrades more than any other fighter in their warband, because then if you've only got 1 or 2 fighters, then you can stagger it up a bit more.
Yeah, there's definitely lots of ways to improve the situation. And it's interesting because I admittedly we never played top competitive, but I don't really remember there being. I mean, they've all. I suppose I don't really remember there being situations where fighters had loads of cards, unless it was things like relics or pages, which is a possible problem for this kind of solution we're talking about. Like if you put a 3 cap limit on it, lost pages as were and tomes as were, you wouldn't be able to do those decks. So that arguably that would be a shame. But I don't know. I just feel that it becomes a race to get the better your strongest fighters with the best cards, and whoever does it first is probably going to win. But maybe there are people out there who can find a way around it, but it doesn't feel like that when you see that players like Aman, who are obviously highly respected, very good, always do well at tournaments, and they're taking Morgox to the tournament. It doesn't seem like at the moment there's a way around it, and I don't think these cards make the situation any better. I think if anything, they make it worse.
And I think that's generally what we're giving that viewpoint from a more casual aspect of the game, but a more casual competitive aspect of the game. So obviously people like Aman and co, they're all giving the top competitive angle of things, and they're giving you the inside track on what you want to take if you want to win tournaments, and we're kind of coming it from more of the angle of what would be more fun in the game, what would make a tournament more interesting and balanced, rather than who's going to take the absolute most uber deck.
Yeah, the competitive play side of it is efficiency. The more efficient your cards are, the better your deck is, effectively. Yeah. And these cards are ruthlessly efficient. And there's a card here that just gives you +1 dice.
Yeah. Why would you never take
much
that?
more efficient than that?
Yeah, I mean, even if you're, there's so many people that you could take that on. Comically, it kind of makes some warbands that need help. It doesn't help them, like Daughters of Cain, because they only have, Morgwaith only has a range 2 attack. It wouldn't help her.
Right. Okay.
But you know, there's commiss. Oh, commiss with that. Oh my word. But yeah, any fighter that has a scything attack. I mean, Sepsimus with that card. I mean, with his spinning attack, because his regular attack's obviously range 2, and definitely wouldn't work with anything like Feral Symbiote either. But yeah.
Is the Wormspat the new OP warband?
I'm tempted to pick him up again, but I'm very aware I've played him a lot, so I'm taking the Vampires for Season 3, which we're drawing on Thursday, by the way. And if you're not in it and you're a patron, you can still join up. You've got time, and if you're not a patron, you've still got time. You can join us at the £2 level, and you can jump in.
3, which is going to have basically it's still Vanguard Plus. You can choose any warband, but we take cards from any of the Chasm releases and the Essentials pack. And you can join us in our 3rd season of the league. First season was won by Pete with the Wormspat, and the 2nd season was won with the Blade Coven, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah, it was fine with the Blade Coven in a brutal display of crit rollage.
So you can still sign up, and we've had lots of people sign up to play, which has been great, and it's just really fun. In our Patreon at the moment, we've actually graced the 100 barrier, which is amazing. So thank you to everybody who does support us, and if you do want to jump on, then let us know. There's only 12 of you watching now, you probably all support us, but do let us know if you want to jump in.
Yes, and someone might have spotted earlier that when Andrew left, he said he'll see us on Thursday, because on Thursday we're going to be doing a Discord patron-only broadcast where we're just going, because we normally record Thursdays, but as we're recording on Monday, we're just going to be getting together for a bit of a talk shit and do stuff. I'll be sorting out my cards for next week, because they're all still in boxes. Maybe trying to get a bit of painting in, and we're going to draw the groups.
You sign up to Patreon before Thursday evening UK time. Jason says what we need to do is make a custom rule set for Underworlds with these rule tweaks and see how they play. Would love to do that. I would love to do that, but it's just the time and getting enough games. You need to be able Michael Cardin who gets in the reps. Yeah. Actually, I think going back to what you were saying earlier, Pete, if you played the only one, there can be only one rule for the upgrades. That would probably sort the Voltron meta out.
I think it probably would, because I mean, like you say, with that augmented limbs card, it's a must-have card. So why would you take it? Because you'd be like, everyone's going to have this card. The minute I put it on, someone else is going to put it on, and I'm going to lose it.
Bluffing, doesn't it? Because obviously, if everyone's going to take it and nobody takes it, if you're the one who takes it,
but if two of them take it, that suddenly makes the meta churn a bit more. It makes you think about, do I take this card? You know, if this is a card which is highly popular, there's a very good chance quite often I might put it on a fighter and then never get to use it. So do I want to build my deck around that strategy? Ooh, we've lost connection.
Can you hear me?
Yep. Hopefully we're still broadcasting.
Okay, it is late, so we should go.
It is very late. I don't know why I've lost my camera as well. Yeah. Let me turn my camera back. Oh no, there we go. There's the camera. Hopefully we're still broadcasting. And
everybody still hear us?
Can you hear us, mother? You can still hear us. Excellent. I'm not sure what happened there. I think we just lost a bit of Discord connection, but the stream was unaffected. So yeah, I mean,
it's quite late. Thank you everybody for joining us. Really fun as ever.
I like the idea of trying some seasons out where we put in like this. There can be only one meta for the upgrades, or try some other stuff out. So maybe we'll have to
do that with our league, I suppose.
That's what I'm thinking. Maybe
plenty of games in there. Not this one, but maybe the next one or one after.
Or maybe because we've got season 3 of this one. Maybe season 4 will have the fish elves and the skelly bogs in, and then that's it. All the cards are out. So maybe we could then say, okay, we'll do a proper Vanguard only version, and then we'll do a Vanguard Plus, but with the only one rule or something like that, maybe.
Well, that method as well also forces you to take more of your own cards, your own faction cards, which is quite nice.
Yep.
It's a more elegant solution than the charging extra glory, I think.
Jason Newell says that we need a rules tweak channel on the Discord. That's a good idea, actually. But I guess that
could be a very full channel. There's lots of people with rule tweak ideas.
Yeah. I still think they need to do something with knockback. I think they should make knockback such that if you can't use the full knockback, then they should take damage. But there's a card for that already. But
knockback definitely needs an overhaul because it should also push somebody back who's on guard.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Knockback should be the irresistible force to the immovable object that is guard.
Yeah.
There we go. I think that we've talked enough nonsense. I think it's probably time for us to bid everybody adieu for this evening.
Yes. So by the time we see you for the next Tuesday Night Live, Pete and I will have been together, and now we can, due to our own discretion, we're allowed to hug.
Yay!
It's down to our own discretion, so that I really can't wait for that.
It's going to be tongues.
Hug with tongues, did you say?
Cuddle with a struggle. It's going to be absolutely manic. I mean, we've got like 3 games planned, and we'll probably get 1 in because we'll just sit there the whole time giggling like idiots.
Nothing will be where it's meant to be either.
Oh God, no!
I should try and set the garage up in advance. Although at the very least, one of the cameras is in the house.
Lazarus does say that he thinks the gift pack and the essentials pack suck. I mean, I thought the essentials pack sucked to start with, but then I think I've warmed to most of it. I don't like the great strength and stuff, but
yeah. I have a review of the essentials pack coming out. It should be coming out tomorrow on Geek Dead, so I shall post it on our Facebook page. But yeah, it's not really a review; it's more of a discussion. But yeah, read that and let me know what you think.
And anybody who hasn't yet, at the very beginning of the video, who hasn't seen the beginning of the video yet, do check out the Straight Out Shadespire, because season 16 we will be commentating on it at the beginning of June. The first Saturday in June we will be streaming that one live from the same location. Robin will be right here next to me.
Can't wait.
It's gonna be awesome. Right.
Cheers then, everyone.
Hope everybody stays safe in these hopefully slowly return to normal times, and we shall see you soon in the dire chasms.